What's up YouTube, it's your boy Galaxy TV. Today on the Twitch stream I decided to start my solo self-found Holy Grail challenge. This is basically finding one of every item in the game within the 3-month temp league. Now this is most likely impossible, but loot is absolutely insane this season, so I figured now is the best time to give it a shot. And with that, we decided to level a Jotunn. So you can see that we have managed to hit level 120 within basically one stream. I wanted to bring you guys just a quick and easy guide on how to level a Jotunn. This build guide is going to be more for newer players or maybe players that have never played Jotunn before, as it is going to be very basic and it's leveling. It's going to be pretty basic. It's just getting you up to that point where you can start blasting Hell 1 and really start bringing in some new items or making currency or whatever it is that you're doing. Again, I did do this in solo self-found, so some of the gearing options again are limited for me. So I did bring you guys some options that you can go for if you're in trade, as most of you probably are. But the beautiful thing about this build is you can, like, the most powerful items for this build you can get completely on your own. You don't need any trading to get them. So without further ado, let's get going on this. To start all of this off, I went ahead and removed all of my attribute points, reset all of my skills, and took off as much gear as I really could. I do have some of these here. These aren't really doing too much for us, and I do have some charms that have like life on kill and res and stuff. That's not really going to be that big of a deal, just showing you some of these skills. Now, starting at level 1, you are going to use Frozen Boulder to get through that very first part of the game. And then once you make it to town, I'd probably use any items that you've picked up, like white items that you're not using, sell those, grab a couple of mana potions, and just keep going. You'll make your way here to the outskirts of Anoia. This is going to be your main skill. This little boulder, it'll go out. Guys, I won't lie to you, this skill doesn't do very much damage. It's going to be a little bit rough at first, so just do your best to manage kind of getting through these first few levels. A little bit of a tip, in the outskirts of Anoia, there's a den. It's called the Rat's Den. I would get a few levels before you go in there, but there's a lot of like really small, narrow paths within that dungeon, and you can actually use that to your advantage, as the Molten Boulder will bounce off of walls. So you can throw it at an enemy that's next to a wall, and it'll go back and forth and bounce and do damage as it's going back and forth. Once you hit level 8, you're going to respec. Your reset down here will be very, very cheap. You'll reset your skills, put 1 point in flash freeze, and then put the rest of your points in freezing leap. This is a very, very strong skill, right? It's a very strong skill. You literally leap, and it's based off of your cast rate. So the more cast rate items you have on, the better. But you leap and it does a ton of damage, and it's going to hit everything. It's fantastic, right? It's just going to blast everything. You're going to use that all the way up until level 16. And then you're going to respec one more time, and we're actually going to come back to the left side of the tree here to Orb of Frost. So we go 1 point Frozen Orb, 1 point Icicles, and then the rest of our points here, probably what, 14 points we'll be able to put in Orb of Frost. And that's going to be our main skill for the remainder of the time. I'll show you what that looks like here. It's beautiful. Now, I do have a skin on, so normally yours won't be red, it'll be blue. As you're leveling through here, the next few points you're going to be putting into synergies. Right, so you can see that Orb of Frost has 3 synergies of Icicles, Frozen Boulder, and Breath of Ice. That's these 3 skills here. So to give this more damage, Frozen Boulder gives it the most damage per level. So you'd want to start there and start maxing out your Frozen Boulder, moving on to Icicles, lastly to Breath of Ice to get the most damage here. At level 24, you do not want to forget Portal of Ice. This gives you teleport. This is very, very strong for a class. Not very many classes in the game have a teleport just on their character at all times, but this is a very, very good skill. Do not forget to take teleport. You can go 1 point into Frozen Hide if you'd like to. This is a physical damage reduction buff, but I mean, it's literally 1 point. It's only giving us 1% physical damage reduction until we get some additional points to kind of beef it up from items. It's really not doing a whole lot, but if you'd like to take it, you can. The same applies to Power of the Ancients. You can 1 point Power of the Ancients at any time. It does give you a little bit of cold skill damage, as well as Avatar of Frost. You can put 1 point in this. Again, it is a small amount of cold skill damage until you get some more plus skills in there. It's 3% here and only 0.5% per 100 mana. As far as our attributes go, this part is super important. For the first 10 levels, right, we're going to put all of our points into energy. The reason why is, you see, I only have 33 energy right now, and my skill costs, my Orb of Frost, it costs 24. right? It's very, very expensive. If you didn't put any points in energy, you literally wouldn't be able to use this skill but more than once, right? So energy gives us increased mana as well as mana per second, or base. It's mana replenish technically. So you can see that our mana replenish right now is 3. As we start putting some points in, it'll go up, right? So for the first 10 levels, we're gonna put all of our points into energy. We'll say that's about 10 levels, right? So you can see we have much more mana as well as we have way more mana replenished. And this skill has a cooldown on it anyway, so you can see by the time our skill is up, we've replenished some mana back. And you can actually go a little bit farther than that if you would like to, but it's all about managing your energy to your skill cost, because spellcasters do not get a lot of additive damage early. You kind of have to blast into skill levels, right? That's why we put all 14 points into Orb of Frost, because you're not getting sources of additive damage anywhere else, right? The only way we can get them is from skill level, so we're pumping the skill to give it base damage. So because of that, every time we level the skill, it's increasing the mana cost. We have to have a way to offset that. The only way that we can do that right now is through just pumping energy. Once you get through the first 10 or so levels, it's going to feel way, way better using your skills, I promise. After this point, there's a general rule that people will go. It's 3 points into int, 1 point into vitality. So the better that you are at the game, the more you can get away with not having vitality. But if you're starting to feel that vitality issue early, you're getting one shot by things, right? Start putting some points into vitality so you're not getting destroyed fast. Right, you still have plenty of energy, you just might have to use a couple of more pots, as well as you won't have as much damage. Like Frozen Orb does a metric ton of damage. So like, the fact that you're not gonna have enough damage isn't gonna happen with the skill all the way through normal, I promise. It's all about just kind of managing. Do I need mana? Yes, so I'm running out of mana too fast, grab more energy. Do I feel like I'm just dying instantly? Maybe grab a little more vitality. Do I feel like I'm not doing enough damage? Maybe grab a little bit more int. And you can respec these attribute points anytime down here. It's completely free at any level that you are. So description of this video, I will have kind of a written guide of everything that I'm talking about here so that you can just reread through it. But there's some affixes that I wanted to bring up to you guys. So things that you want to look out for on items are like mana replenish, mana per second, mana on kill, or life on kill. All of this is for sustain. You can get these pretty much on every piece of gear. So you can find them on blues, blue items, rare items, and mythic items, right? You're gonna look for things like plus skills. Anything that you find that has plus skills on it is really, really strong early. Okay, you're probably not gonna see too much with plus skills for the going through normal, but you may. If you do, I promise you, put it on, it's great. Faster cast rate is important, but not important. It's not important in the sense of Frozen Orb has a cooldown, so once you've used Frozen Orb, like, you can't continue spamming it until the next one comes up. It does make it faster to get the next Frozen Orb out, but you don't need a ton of faster cast rate to be spamming your skill. What you do need it for is teleport, right? That Portal of Ice, the more faster cast rate you have, the faster you can teleport around, the less the enemies will hit you because you're teleporting fast, and the faster you can get through zones because, again, you are teleporting fast, right? So faster cast rate is actually very, very important to this class's identity. And beyond that, you can also look for things like plus a flat value to cold skill, like +5 to cold skill damage, +5% to cold skill damage, minus cold enemy res, which most likely you're not going to find those things on most gear early. And if you do, it's kind of a small percentage anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. The main things that you care about early are mana and faster cast rate, right? Mana and faster cast rate are your biggest priorities early. They will help you breeze through normal. And once you get to Nightmare, things get a little bit more interesting because you're starting to feel monsters are getting stronger and you need to kind of beef up yourself. Again, in the description of the video, I will have some early Runewords that you can make that will make it very, very easy to get through this. Farm Black Tower in Nightmare. It's in Woodhill Plain. Some of the early Runewords that we're looking for are things like Divinity. If you can get a Divinity, would be huge. Most likely in Nightmare, you're not going to have a Vex rune yet. So the alternative will be a Sky Song, and you can actually make 2 Sky Songs. You can make one as a Spellblade and one as a shield. Both of those will require a 4-socket, so a 4-socket Spellblade, a 4-socket shield. You'll put those runes in. They're very, very strong. They both have plus skills. They both have faster cast rate. They both have everything that you're going to need to start blasting. You put both of those on and you should be pretty much good all the way to hell, to be honest with you. There's other items you can get though. Mystify is a 3-socket armor, can roll up to +2 on skills, super strong. Ghost can roll up to +2 on skills as well, another really strong item. And Scholar is really good if you need a little bit of mana on kill. You can make it super early. It only takes an Urt and a Solar Rune. But it's a 2-socket helmet, and that'll give you a plus skill as well as up to 5 mana per kill, and those can be made very, very early. So make sure that you are checking your loot filter, that you're not turning these things off, as well as you're looking for these white bases, because they will skyrocket your Nightmare run, especially if you do the quest in Act 1 of Nightmare. That very first quest, you'll go and you'll kill the boss of the Black Tower. He's going to give you some runes. All of those runes you can prospect down. You can downgrade them if you need to make either Sky Songs or maybe a Scholar or anything that you need to get your way through Nightmare. Right, that's going to take you all the way to Hell. Once you get to Hell, there is some other gearing options I will go through right now. Guys, I got super lucky, okay? This might be the luckiest playthrough I have ever had in Hero Siege 2, right? I dropped an Annie, okay? I literally dropped an Annie in the very first Satanic Zone. It was a Satanic Pumpkin Patch. This is the first SS that I got from... You're not gonna have this. You can do all of this without the Annie, I promise. So, as Sky Song, I did use a Sky Song. I did use a Divinity. Right, they were flipped though. I had a Divinity here and a Sky Song here as a shield. Right, we used a cheap our Mystify, wherever that's at. It's hiding from me. I had Mystify as my armor. Right, here was my Sky Song here. Right, I also used a Scholar for my helmet. Wherever that's gone missing to. I had a Scholar as my helmet. I had all of basically the Runewords that I told you about a few seconds ago was my gear. And then any random mythics that I picked up, I just threw on for extra juice, and I could blast Hell 1 with that. And even the Satanic Zones, they were rough, okay? They weren't a breeze, but I was able to do them and get some gear out of that, right? Now, for charms, you want to be getting as much res on charms as you can early. Any sort of like life on kill, mana on kill, any sort of sustain that you can get there will help a ton for this character. But mainly you're just trying to get magic find and like res on small charms to make sure that you're res capped for Hell, so that you don't get one shot by things, right? So I did happen to drop a Grand Wizard's robe, so we ended up upgrading to that. One of my rings I upgraded to Iron Ring of Prometheus. These are also very cheap. The reason I'm showing you these is they're super cheap on trade, right? I still have Mythic Gloves. I still have this res ring with life on it. I still have this cheap level 40 belt. I don't even know why I'm still using this, just because it has 15 magic find. I did roll a +2 ghost. Oh, and here's my Scholar. I'm crazy. And I still have the Scholar on. Now, I am using the Annie, right? But really all that's doing, it's giving me the extra +1, and it's making my res is capped. Now my res aren't completely capped, but they're getting there. I'm going to be able to cap them soon. So that's all I did, right? It's very, very easy. I hope you guys found this guide to be fairly easy to follow. Again, I will have a written description of everything that I just talked about below. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about the guide. Tell me what you think about the character. If there's anything that I could have done to improve this build guide. I did this fairly raw. I didn't, there's not a whole lot of editing in this one. But yeah, I will be making a Plague Doctor next. We're going to be doing that. I don't know if we're doing that tomorrow or we're doing that the next day. So Plague Doctor is next on the list to get leveled. Again, I will come back. I will make a leveling guide showing you guys exactly how I did it. So if you're interested in seeing that content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Catch me over at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. I will be live there pretty much every day for a long time. We're doing a lot of blasting. So be sure to drop by and